I'm Victor,
My name is Jack.
and today we're going to do interviewing the school about how they opinionate on the two political parties. Alright, I'm here with
Eli?
in 12th grade.
Yeah.
Alright, so I'm asking some questions about the two-party system in America. First off, what are some pros and cons about having a two-party system?
I would say for pros, I guess it's just like easier to like organize like parties and like the structure of how people typically function. You know, it's either gonna be like a Republican or Democrat who are the president, which I think could also be seen as a con, as it's not like spreading like new ideas, really not letting other people have a chance. Cons, I would say, it just creates too much division between America and the parties in general.
Alright, and then we're talking about political parties. Do you think it's better to have no political parties or the two political party system?
Well, I don't think we should have no political party system, because then there's no like support or backing for anybody, and it's just more chaotic. But like, I think there needs to be like, I wouldn't say I want to go to this two-party system, Democrat, Republican. There's just too much like separation. I feel like the other sides are just like attacking each other too much.
Yeah.
So I would say maybe like, I don't know exactly. I don't think there really is a proper solution. Just like a way where people can see each other's ideas more and just less division.
What's your name?
My name is Miss Booker.
Am I allowed to ask you some questions?
You are Jack Schwartz.
Thank you, Mr. Booker. What are the pros and cons of a political system in America?
The two-party system sucks. I think it came out of a need of 250 years ago, and it's no longer serving us as a country. I can't really think of a pro other than that, like, it's organized and it makes it easy to like pick a side. But I wouldn't even say that that's a pro, because it makes people more extreme in their political views. Political candidates have to pander to their party rather than being authentic. And in the bigger sense, the political parties have to pander to their funders, right? Their benefactors, people they get money from, like the NRA and stuff like that. So we've lost really all kind of authenticity and balance.
Oh, Jason Wallen.
Alright, and I'm gonna ask you some civics questions about the two-party system in America. First, what are some pros and cons about the two-party system?
So pros are, I think they historically at least have provided two real options to the American people, right? They're parties that are very different in their approach. There's a variety within the parties, so even though there's only two parties, there's quite a wide range of beliefs within the parties themselves. And so I think that's one of the good things. It's simple, right? It's pretty easy to remember the two parties, and if you have 13 or 14 or 15 parties, it can get a little bit complicated, and you might not necessarily know where a particular party stands. So it's kind of easier to keep track of things with two parties.
Got you. I'm here with the athletic director, and I'm gonna ask you some civics questions.
Great.
First, what are some pros and cons about the two-system party in America?
Well, I think we're seeing right now that we're very divided. Everybody is either one party or the other, and we're all very divided politically about that. And I think it's I'm right and you're wrong. There is no kind of compromise to that. I think maybe if there was another party that was involved, maybe it wouldn't. There's negatives to that as well, but I think it wouldn't be as much I'm right, you're wrong. We might be able to include other ideas in the mix of things.
Do you consider third parties necessary for change in our two-party system, or not?
I do. I think we need to fundamentally get rid of the idea that there are only two parties. I think third parties need to become viable. Right now, the way third parties function is we know they're not actually viable, so they take away votes, they skew elections, whatever. But if we make them actually viable as alternatives, and they get the grassroots support and popular support that they need to function, they would be a necessary change to the two-party system. I think really in the short term, what we need to start doing to kind of limit the power of the two parties is limit who they can get money from, where they're getting their funds, the way they can campaign or attack other, parties. I think in the long term, adding more parties and revamping the two-party system is important, but in the short term, we also have to do things to limit kind of the biased power of the two parties that we do have. Does that make sense?
I'm here with
Dana.
And today I'm gonna ask you history questions about the two party system in America. First, what are some pros and cons about it?
I think for the pros, I think it's good that people can have their own ideas and like people who are also have like, ideas with them. I think cons is like Republicans and Democrats, like they can go very head to head,
Yeah.
and it can be very, I don't know, very like, they just bang heads a lot.
Okay, and I guess building off that, do you think it's better to have two parties or just no parties and just have like kind of like, I'm just like, I stand for this and this, do you want to vote for me? So like, I stand for Republican or Democrat.
I think the two parties is in some ways helpful. I think that it allows people to like I said, like go with other people who have the same ideas. I think within those parties you can range from like very like far left to like middle. So
Yeah.
I think in my opinion,
I guess another question, do you think green parties and independent parties are spoilers or like necessary for change in democracy, kind of like a step forward?
Yeah, unfortunately, in our system, I think they tend to play the spoiler role,
Yeah.
right? I think that in like a British system, a parliamentary system, for example, where you have seats and you win seats, I think they play a much more integral role because people have to negotiate with them, right? In order to pass their legislation, they have to negotiate with these other parties, and that's why I like that. One of the advantages of not having a two-party system, if you have a multi-party system, or you have a parliament where parties have seats, and so even if they don't, we're a kind of all or nothing, right? We're a zero-sum game political party. If your political party wins, you have power, right?
Yeah.
So if the Democrats win the House or the Senate, that means they control the House or the Senate, right? They don't have to listen to their adversaries because they have enough votes to pass their own legislation, right?
Yeah.
So, but in a parliamentary system, you really do have to collaborate with other parties and compromise, and you can get your stuff passed only if you give the Green Party some of the stuff that they want too, right? And they all agree to vote along with you. So in our system, I think they do play more spoiler role, but and they haven't really effectively even done that historically because they just don't garner enough votes to matter, right? So maybe that will change though.
I mean,
Do you consider any third party, good for democracy in the United States, or do you consider them spoilers?
Like both. I kind of feel like, there was that one thing we learned about in history class for that one party.
The Green Party?
Yeah, the Green Party almost overdid Al Gore, was it?
Yeah.
Outdid Al Gore. And that's his right, but I also feel like it's just losing votes.
oh, and I guess like the third party, do you think like independent parties like Ralph Nader and the Green Party in 2000 and other parties like that are spoilers or like necessary to change? Like,
Well, I think they really have been, and they could be spoilers to one party or another. I don't necessarily think, the Green Party, the Independent Party, or whatever. I think right now, I honestly think we need some new voices within the political arena, but that's the problem with the third party, is they play spoiler for people that don't like either end of the spectrum. They just take away from one of the other two and just ruin it for because right now we're all voting for the lesser of two evils type or that's a lot of people's feelings, so not necessarily mine, but
thank you.
yeah.
Noah.
From 12th grade, I'm gonna ask you some questions about the two-party system in America. First of all, what are some pros and cons about the two-party system in America?
Well, there's two parties, which gives people a lot more flexibility in their voting. They're able to choose a party that conforms with what they believe and what they think. Yeah, so it gives people options. Cons, I don't think there's enough parties. I don't think
Yeah.
they represent enough things. Yeah, there's the Green Party, but that's a very small party, and they don't get the same amount of voting, and they don't get the same amount of funding as the other two larger parties, the Republican and Democratic
Yeah.
Party.
And basically, they get left out in the wide picture. Or something necessary to two-party change.
Was this the case again when it was like?
The Green Party. They stole all the votes from like Al Gore in the 2000 election.
Oh, it was Al Gore versus
Yeah.
Bush.
Yeah, it was that one.
Oh, for the climate change or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I like the green. I mean, I don't know if I like the idea of a third party candidate spreading their ideas because it does make Americans like reconsider, rethink what we traditionally stand for between a Democrat and a Republican. And I think it did affect the Al Gore Bush election, which I think Bush won like barely in Florida.
Yeah.
So I think he had something to do with it, which can be seen as good or bad. Regardless, he still spread new ideas, which I think are good for the country.
All right. Well, thank you. Oh, and then last question: do you consider independent parties and like the Green Party spoilers or necessary for democracy to change?
I think they're good because sometimes people are in the middle, or they have some beliefs that fit one and don't fit the other, and I don't think you need to be necessarily categorized as a
Yeah.
Republican or a Democrat. And like I said, you can there's a scale and you can go anywhere on that scale. So I think they're important, and they also bring other important issues that sometimes get overlooked.
All right. Thank you.
Our Vox Style Street interview.